A Transylvania student in Kentucky has been disenrolled from the university that he's been going to because of the fact that he thought it would be a good idea to harass one of his peers on social media because she happens to be a dreamer. Now, Taylor Ragg is the name of the guy who decided it was a good idea to harass a fellow student. Ragg posted a picture of senior Paola Garcia on Facebook in August saying, quote, "Everyone go report this illegal at my school, bragging about breaking the law." So here's a screenshot of what was put out there. Everyone go report this illegal, okay? And then he also provides a photo of Paola. Now, things got really bad when she started receiving threatening messages from all sorts of people. And so she went to administrators and hoped that they would have some sort of solution. She claims that at first they didn't do anything about it. And so she took matters into her own hands and she published a 6-minute long YouTube video. And we have a portion of it for you. Let's take a quick look.
Over the summer, a student at Transylvania University posted me on a racial hatred page called the 10th Crusade Enthusiasts. With the comment, "Everyone go report this illegal at my school, bragging about breaking the law." That night I received numerous messages on Facebook from members of that group threatening me with ICE. Someone actually sent me pictures of him filling out a tip form to Homeland Security. And I received messages like, "I can't wait till your fucking cunt ass is gone. You and your N-word boyfriend need to leave. And hope you enjoyed your visit back to them dirt floors of your homeland, stinky ass."
After that video was published, the university actually did take some action, and they are not disclosing exactly what they did, whether they expelled him or he decided to leave the school on his own. I'm guessing, and this is speculation, that they probably expelled him. But here's what Paola had to say. "I don't have to walk across the graduation stage with him, but I also feel that this isn't over yet." Ragg's only response to a request for comment on Tuesday was to say that the Herald Leader, which has been covering this story, is, quote, "fake news." He has since taken down his Facebook page.
Okay, so I think this one's actually harder than I think you think it is. So, all right, let's just talk her through. So she is, first of all, she's an undocumented immigrant, brought into the country when she was 2. She didn't choose it as a 2-year-old. Maybe I have to explain that to the right wing.
No, 2-year-olds, they make those decisions on their own. They somehow miraculously cross the border without their documents, and then they stay here for the rest of their lives. I mean, at 2 years old, you have the ability to do that, right? So let's go ahead and punish them and harass them and treat them as if they're like subhumans.
So
anyway,
Representative Steve King on TV today literally referred to Dreamers and said that they chose to break the law in America.
Representative Steve King is the scum of the earth, okay? And so are the people who decided to vote such a hateful person into office. Really, children as young as 2 knowingly came into the country illegally. Dreamers, specifically dreamers, are people who were brought into the country without their consent, without knowing what was going on, because they came in as children. Like, if you're unable to see that, I mean, I don't know what else to say to you.
Yeah, so in this case, Paola was 2, this is her case. So of course I agree on all that. I don't, so she is an undocumented immigrant. He points out that she's an undocumented immigrant and he puts up her picture. Do I think it's a bad idea? Absolutely, terrible idea. It could lead to her harassment, and it could even, maybe even in the Trump era, might even lead to her deportation. What a horrible, horrible thing to do to somebody this is the only country she's ever known. You would send her back to a place she never grew up in, doesn't know. I don't know if she knows the language. I don't know which country she's from. So it's such a terrible thing to do.
So first of all, at the moment, she's protected by DACA. So you're not gonna get her deported because DACA hasn't, stopped protecting her yet, okay? Obviously, there's still a little bit of time before Congress needs to act.
But it could happen as quickly as 6 months.
That's true, it could happen as quickly as 6 months if, Congress doesn't reach a deal or if, Trump continues going back and forth on this issue. But look, put the deportation part of it aside because at the moment, she's not at risk of deportation. But here's what did happen. She started receiving significant harassment from all of these random people who don't know her. And he is the person, her peer is the person who directed all this harassment toward her, right? You can't have that. Like, what is wrong with that guy? Really, like, you have that much free time that you're gonna create this campaign to harass a fellow student?
Yeah, no, of course, look, it was a terrible thing to do. But the question is, should he be expelled for that? And he's pointing out that she's undocumented. She is undocumented. She doesn't deny it. And him encouraging others to do something about it is the part where I think you've got a really great case that is harassment. So I just think that it's a little bit tougher issue. As an administrator, this is where it's on the line. He didn't say somebody go assault her like Shkreli did with Hillary Clinton. But it was needless incitement. I just don't know if it means that you should be expelled at a school. And by the way, we don't know for sure that he was. He might have left voluntarily. By the way, if you're a progressive, Taylor Ragg's name's all over the place and his picture's now all over the place. Don't harass him either.
Right, that's right. You know why? Because we're not dicks, okay? We're not unreasonable, illogical people that would direct any group to go harass someone simply because we disagree with anything that they're doing. Now, I completely disagree with what he's doing. And if I were an administrator at a university and I saw this type of harassment taking place, I would absolutely consider expulsion. And this is not about political speech. I have an issue with the fact that he has created a hostile educational environment for this student who has never caused any trouble, who hasn't bothered him in any way. He just needlessly, out of nowhere, decided to direct all this harassment toward her. Now, if he wanted to share his opinion about her in class while they're having a discussion about, deportations or undocumented immigrants, I think that speech should happen and it should be protected, and I have no problem with that. My problem is him directing the harassment toward this student who has done nothing wrong and at the moment is protected by DACA.
Yeah, and so he might have seen in the news that where Trump, under the Trump administration, ICE has deported people who've spoken out about being undocumented who were not protected by DACA. So they gave political speech about how undocumented immigrants should be protected, and we covered the story, ICE would come in and arrest them right afterwards and deport them. So, and I know that right wingers take great relish in that, but I understand exactly what you're saying, Anna. When he says, and it's a quote that she read to you, everyone go report this illegal at my school bragging about breaking the law. I worry that it's an incitement to action to go after her. At the same time, he didn't say assault her, he said report her. So I just think it's a little bit tougher, but he should have never done it in the first place. And I feel terrible for Paola to go through that kind of intimidation. And I certainly understand her worry about what might happen to her on campus. And she was also worried that the university didn't react quickly enough to it, which, as you can tell here, I don't know if they reacted quickly enough, but how they reacted, I have some sympathy for, because I think it's a pretty tough situation to be in.
Well, they have to go through protocol. You can't just have a knee-jerk reaction. So I'm actually not that critical of how the university responded. You do have to go through the proper channels to ensure that you're not overly punitive, okay? So it is what it is. But my issue is that we now live in this environment where Trump has emboldened, like, kids. This guy's a kid, right? He's emboldened children to be this vicious toward one another, and it's disgusting.
Yeah, that we 100% agree on. So if earlier we wouldn't have had a situation where people thought it was like a cool thing to do to try to get people that they don't agree with removed from the country. I mean, and ripped away from their families and all that goes along with it. Trump has just made this country a much uglier place. And is it worse to see the racism out of the closet? Yes. I prefer they kept it in the closet because it has real consequences for real people. Watch the Young Turks commercial free, download it or stream it, watch it any way you like at tytnetwork.com/join.